your investors and you as a CEO don't always have an alignment in regards to your goals.
Doron Reuveni, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
My pleasure.
Really great to have you. You know, you're the CEO of Applause now, and a fantastic company that I actually have been following quite closely ever since my time in the IDF and building software myself. But I'd love to get started by getting to know you a little bit better, how you've come to Applause to be the CEO. You actually were also the board member of RunKeeper, right?
Yeah, I was until it was actually sold to ASICS at the time. So, you know, I do like to take a few independent board seats and help kind of young entrepreneurs and CEO kind of, you know, grow their company. And, you know, I did it a few times. One was RunKeeper, I think, a few years ago, and one was GrabCAD. That was another company that I was on the board on.
Well, I love RunKeeper. I actually use it almost on a daily basis to run. So as soon as I saw it, I got so excited. Doron, tell me, what is it like to be a board member of a sort of B2C company where, you know, there's so much engagement with the users and the growth is tremendous. What is your role as a board member for a company like RunKeeper?
Yeah, so RunKeeper is actually a very good example because, you know, first of all, for me, it was very interesting because they had a great founder. I always love working with a great founder. I'll just give you an example. You know, he was the first one that came with a mobile app that kind of tracks your running and creates a running community. And at the beginning, he had no funding. So he was actually running the Boston Marathon with this like iPhone outfit. So he was so passionate about it. He was actually running with an iPhone outfit. And you can probably look it up. It's actually pretty interesting. But
I'm going to put it right over here with my tremendous editing. So right over here, there's going to be a picture of him running with the iPhone.
Oh, yeah. I can probably send it to you. We're still good friends. You know, and for me, it was a very interesting type of endeavor because my background is in B2B and enterprise software, and RunKeeper is obviously a B2C company. And actually one of the first ones that focused on, you know, mobile application and iPhone first. And it was, for me, a very good endeavor into the metrics and analytics of a B2C company. And one of the reasons that I joined is, you know, obviously gain some more experience on the B2C space, but also kind of help RunKeeper, because what happened to them is they were the first ones that actually came out, but they were not, you know, they were kind of getting their lunch eaten a little bit by companies like Strava, that came from the cycling world, and there was a few other examples, a few companies, you know, that were acquired by Under Armour, etc., etc. So we had to kind of, me and the investors had to kind of figure out a way together with the CEO to put the company on a trajectory to continued growth and success. And eventually we did that, and that was actually sold to ASICS, which is a running shoe company, I guess. That was a great success for the entrepreneur and the team, and now they're basically part of the digital, I would say, digital agency of ASICS. So everything digital for ASICS is actually going through the RunKeeper office in Boston.
Wow.
My job as an independent board member, and I think this is very important for CEOs and young entrepreneurs to understand, is that, you know, your investors and you as a CEO don't always have an alignment in regards to your goals. And, you know, investors need to take care of their investment. The CEO needs to take care of the company, the employees, the management team. And sometimes that creates a challenge, right? Many times they're aligned in order to grow the company, because if the company is doing well, everybody is successful. But many times, you know, there is a certain amount of friction. And I think the role of an independent board member is to actually kind of play that role where he doesn't, you know, his incentive is not the investors. His incentive is not the VC. His incentive is not necessarily the CEO. There's one thing that he sees that he really cares about, and that's the company. Okay. And being a good independent board member is like super critical for the success of the company, because you actually bring together employees, CEOs, a management team and actually the investors and actually bring them together on the same path. Sometimes it's not an easy job, but you got to make sure that you always think about what's best for the company. And that's what a good independent board member does. And
do you feel a part of the company? Do you feel like you have a stake in the company emotionally, or do you feel more of an advisor that is, over this operation? And obviously you have the best interest in mind for both the CEO and the company, but how connected are you to the mission and the values that the company exudes?
So I'm very connected, and that basically means that I would never take an independent board seat without investing in the company myself.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's me personally. Not every independent board member, does that.
So why is that? Why do you do that?
I do that in order to make sure that it's important to me to think about the company first.
Okay.
So that's me. By the way, I learned it from, an independent board member that I had when I was in Applause. His name was Jit Sextana, and he actually sold a company to IBM for about $3 billion. But, he was my independent board member, and, he invested in my company. And, I learned from him that if you want to truly become a good independent board member and help the CEOs and the VCs grow a company, you got to have an incentive to make the company successful. And, if you put your money where your mouth is, that is always very helpful because you never forget. And I always invest in those companies. And I would say I probably were part of 5 companies where I was an independent board member. And, I think I had 4 very good successes and, 1 failure, which is, not a bad,
pretty fantastic, average. Pretty fantastic statistics. Wonderful. Doron, talk to me about Applause. Writing software is difficult. Software is eating the world, a quote by Marc Andreessen himself. What is Applause and why is it so relevant as the years go by? Because it's been here for some time.
Yeah, so Applause has been around for about 11 years. And, I would say when the company got started, and I'm also the co-founder of the company, the idea was really simple at the time. The idea was, we invest a lot of money in testing software, people, process, methodology, tools. But when software gets to the hands of real people, there's still multiple issues that get found. And we always need to remember that the reason why we develop software is in order to serve humans, right?
Right.
That's really why we develop software, why everybody develops software. And the idea was really simple. Why aren't we successful? And the point was we were actually missing a step. And the step was actually testing in the wild, actually simulating and mimicking your real users, your real customers. And that's a way to find issues that are never found in a lab environment, found by automation. And the idea was simple. Why don't we build a global community of test engineers and test in the wild on real devices, real configuration, at scale, at speed, in real time, 24/7, 365. And that's actually what we came about and did. We actually built a technology platform that on one hand side integrates with product development lifecycle, bug tracking system, and CI/CD. And on the other hand side manages a global community of software test engineers, which is today more than 500,000 community members from 200 countries and regions worldwide. And, you can think it's a simple idea, meaning, you take a software product and, an iPhone app, an IoT app, whatever it is, and throw it over the world to a bunch of people. But it's not really like that, because let's talk about the complexity. If you take Uber as an example, they actually match a driver and a passenger for a single point in time, for a single ride, single transaction. We actually match a dedicated team with a software product on an ongoing basis, and the team needs to fit the experience of the software product, and there's, communication and collaboration, and it's done in real time 24/7. So the technology and obviously incentives for the testers in order to align incentives with what the company is looking for. So the complexity is actually really high from a technology platform perspective. And I would also say, most of our customers are big enterprise companies. So, when you look at your iPhone or Android device, I'm happy to say that probably 50 or 60% of the apps that you have out there are probably tested by Applause. And that includes companies like, Google and Microsoft and Amazon, but also, big retailers and media companies and, many types of enterprise companies that really focus on making their customers and users successful.
Right, Doron, this concept of testing in the wild, I think that's so interesting because, almost every software team in the world today has this notion of quality testing, both software testing, right, test-driven methodology, or QA team that runs and does 100 manual test cases. I know in the Army, in 8200 where I served, we spent days test every software to make sure we don't have any errors. What is the difference between testing in the wild and the notion of doing tests in-house within your company? Why is that different?
Yeah, so I think two things that basically happen. If you test in-house, you actually are testing in a single location and you have a limited amount of devices that you test it on. It's also very tiring to test, right? It's very repetitive type of tasks, and you're not actually doing, journeys and use cases and exploratory like a real user would do. And that's exactly what we do. Take the most simple example. Take, HBO Go. Can you test HBO Go from China, from Vietnam? No, they don't even have distribution rights over there.
And these are average, regular people sitting at home who can sign up and have incentives to go and just download the app and play with it. And they can perhaps go through a list of tasks, or they can just do a free for all. And for every bug that they find, they get some incentive for it, right?
That's correct. But it's not only like that. It's actually a dedicated team, and we actually do automatic matching. So if I'm any type of company, let's say I'm, Walmart, testing my Walmart application, you want to make sure that you test it in, areas where, there is a Walmart. You want to make sure that you do customer journeys, order from your mobile phone and pick it up at the store. Right. You want to make sure that the whole experience actually works well. And that's what's really being tested. And you want to make sure that you test it on devices that are in North America. In central locations where they rolled out, pick up in store. You actually want to really simulate and mimic the users, but you also want to have good testers that have, experience and expertise, and have them dedicated to the work on an ongoing basis, and have incentives to actually look for the things that you care about. Because many times when, you hire a team in India, they just run through test cases, right? This is a little bit more than that, because there's incentives to actually find faults that the customer is looking for, so he can fix it and basically launch a better product into the market.
So, but this isn't instead of the QA on the team or internal testing, right? This is as a supplement to really go the extra mile and say, yes, we have caught 80 or 85% of the bugs on our end, our testing cycles, but there will inevitably be 10 to 15% out in the wild because of weird devices and screen resolutions and Wi-Fi and country VPNs, right?
Well, the honest truth is that it actually started like that. It started as, augmentation to current teams, but, as we evolved and matured as a company, today we manage the complete cycles for a lot of our customers on an ongoing basis. Right. So I would say that both models are available. If you want to have your own team and kind of augment it, that's fine. If you want to have us take ownership of everything, including, automation. So today, over time, we build, technologies that allows you to do automation, that allows you to do accessibility testing, which is super critical for every mobile and web application today. If you want to make sure that you do voice testing, you want to make sure that you do data collection for AI and ML engine at very high quality, and then test the engine. So we actually today do all that. And I think one very important thing to note is that many teams look at automation and manual testing as separate. We actually look at it in a very holistic way. So automation and manual testing and in the wild and test case execution and exploratory testing need to work in harmony. So our platform today is a true digital quality platform that allows you to actually bring all of it together into a single metrics, and helps you make better decisions when are you really ready to launch.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and Doron, tell me, what is it like being the CEO of a company that's 11 years old, a SaaS company? I mean, how do you dedicate a vision to a company that's 11 years old? Where is it at now? And how has your role as the CEO transitioned over the years now that it's profitable and you're just enjoying it?
Yeah, so when the company started, remember, we started from an idea. Like we went and raised money from a PowerPoint, and that's basically it, from a concept. The company today is completely different, right? It's way over $100 million in revenue. It's a profitable company. We have 500 employees, offices in multiple locations worldwide. So first of all, it's great to see. But, I think it's very important to note that vision is something that evolves over time, right? You always need to have a North Star that you basically go and aspire to be. So if the beginning, it was in the wild testing, we want to be this augmentation stuff. And then we want to make sure that, we want to be a team and we want to make sure that all the testing is done. And now the vision is a true digital quality platform. The vision is evolving over time, right, as the company matures. And I think one of the most important positions and jobs that the CEO and founder needs to do is make sure that everybody is aligned on a vision. And that basically means the management team, the employees, the investors, they're all aligned on a vision. And, from my personal perspective, as long as it's exciting and I keep learning and the company is still scaling and growing, then I'm enjoying myself, right? And, I would say that today, Applause is not the same that it was a year ago, and it's definitely not the same that it was 5 years ago. And as long as that keeps on growing as a company and doing that and being the real leader in the market, then I enjoy what I'm doing.
I love it. Is there still room for risk taking, or is there more of an approach of don't fix what ain't broken?
Oh, you got to take risks. You got to take risks. First of all, I think at a certain point in time, some companies actually do the mistake of stop being innovative, right? And I think once you do that, it's the potential of a spiral roll down is very, very high. Because, once you're successful, once you're successful, you're going to have competitors. And some of them are, good, smart people that you kind of pave the path to them. And, if you mess it up, they're going to take your spot, right? So you got to continue to innovate. And, we put every year, we have what's called the Applause Labs. And that's part of our engineering team. And all they do is, think about new ideas and new concepts. And we're rolling out new functionality and new features and new capabilities and new products. Today you can bring your own team as part of the Applause platform. So let's say you have a team of business users that you want to test and you have the data in one location. You can do that. There's many new functionality like low code, no code automation that we're launching to the market, which is, a brand new concept around automation of software. So the company is investing quite a lot in what would be innovative. It's very important to also make sure that the innovation is around your vision, right? You need to continue to strive to your vision. Otherwise, the forces are not aligned.
And it sounds like a huge responsibility that you're taking, being sort of a global leader in what it means to have quality testing and quality assurance over products. And it's almost an innate responsibility that you're taking on as you're continuously thinking, what is the next step for quality? How is the world transitioning to testing, especially as software is developing, new languages are coming up, new technologies are arising constantly. Over the past 5 years, IoT has completely exploded. Now there's going to be, AI models on device all around us. And this is going to bring new challenges, I'm sure, to testing, new edge cases that nobody have thought of. And you all responsibility of making the leap forward, right?
Yeah, and by the way, those challenges today exist already, right? I mean, let me give you another, and by the way, we do all that type of testing. Let me give you another analogy. So you look at voice, for example, and you look at the evolution of voice. Voice is actually growing much more than what mobile grew because of two reasons. One, it's a natural way for a human to interact with software.
Right.
And two, it's completely device independent. It doesn't matter if you interact with your phone or with Android or with iOS or with your TV or with your fridge. It's a natural way to interact. And that's actually growing exponentially faster than what, mobile apps used to grow. And that basically means that companies are investing in voice applications.
Right.
And we do a bunch of testing around voice applications, and we work with some of the infrastructure players like Amazon and Google around, testing their infrastructure for voice, because, Alexa is becoming more sophisticated, right? And there's many other companies that are investing in voice infrastructure and AI and ML infrastructure. So actually, it's very exciting to be part of that and help those companies create a better digital experience and a better world for all of us.
Very, very cool. Doron, right before we leave, 20 minutes they always end so quick, but I feel like I'm learning so much through this. So thank you for your time. I need 3 words that you would use to describe yourself. And again, thank you for doing this. You have 500 people that you're managing across so many different places, and it's just inspiring to see how you helped grow this company from a PowerPoint idea 7 years later to this global leader on quality and testing. And as an engineer myself, obviously, I know how critical this is and how difficult it is to really feel confident in the software that you wrote. So really, really incredible to hear what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so I'll give you a few words. So persistent, right? So be persistent. Believe. Okay, you go as an entrepreneur, you go through very hard times, and you got to believe in your vision and basically what you're doing. And lastly, it's love to win, right? You're doing it, not because of money, not because of anything. You're doing it because you love to win. So I think these are the 3, I would say, concepts that I really love.
I love it. And on the side, you're still investing, right, in early stage companies, also through J Ventures, but also through, are you still sitting on board seats right now?
I'm actually sitting on a board seat of a company, which I actually can't announce because they haven't launched yet, but it's one of my passions. So I actually enjoy biking, and it's a company that is involved in the biking industry. So it's going to announce later this summer, and once it's announced, I'll gladly share. But that's the only company I'm on the board of, other than Applause, of course.
Of course. Doron, toda rabba, thank you very, very much, and best of luck with everything. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my pleasure. Take care.